Tapes are cool again. Compared to 15 or so years ago when the format was basically dead, more than 10 times as many cassettes are being sold today. Taylor Swift's latest album came out on tape. A bunch of Gen Z artists are putting out albums using the cassette format. And mixtapes are cool too. They've been a retro nod for a while. I've seen mixtape phone cases, notepads, Christmas ornaments. A rectangular reminder of our youth. There was a time you could walk into any music store or Brooks Pharmacy, be a whole shelf of blank cassettes ready for whatever. What was your mixtape of choice? Was it Maxell, with the guy on the wrapper getting his hair blown back by the killer sound coming out of his speakers? How about Memorex?
Is it live or is it Memorex?
Memorex had the rainbow-colored ones in the 90s. Was it Sentry, Scotch, Sertron, TDK? Makes me wonder, when these companies stop selling cassettes, what do they do? I made plenty of mixtapes back in the day. Some of the earlier ones involved holding my Realistic, that was the audio brand for Radio Shack, tape recorder right up next to the radio. But then I got a boombox and hello, high fidelity. Or at least medium fidelity. That boombox was the workbench where I carefully constructed mixtapes for girls I liked.
You gotta kick it off with a killer to grab attention. Then you gotta take it up a notch. But you don't want to blow your wad, so then you gotta cool it off a notch. There are a lot of rules.
And for friends. Consider myself a bit of a tastemaker. And then there's the mixtapes I made for myself. A lot of them I still have. They're shoved in a box in the basement. They probably encompass my wild mood swings of Cape Cod radio listening. Back then, the Cape had its power trio, 96.3 The Rose for pop, Pixie 103 for rock. 106 WCOD was pop but a little more adult. There was an alt-rock station there for a minute, Rock 104.7 The Cape, which had replaced the legendary Cape 104. My mom listened to 99.9 WQRC, with Don Kent giving the weather from the WQRC News Center. And one station simulcast Boston's WCBV Channel 5, like TV, which meant a couple years I taped the Grammys, including 1994 when Billy Joel paused to kill time after they'd played out Frank Sinatra during the previous segment.
Valuable advertising time going by. Valuable advertising time going by. Dollars, dollars.
And before it was Cool 102, it was Light 102 WCIB. They played a lot of Sting, and they carried the Red Sox games, which was helpful, because you needed a clear night or a breeze to blow just the right way to pick up the Boston stations like WBCN or Jammin' 94.5. The other night I decided to dig into that box of tapes and see what I had, and I spent way too much time doing it. You know, my dad made a mixtape for me when I was like 8. I remember I curated it. I was a huge pest about it. Like any new discovery back then, I'd become obsessed and I just wouldn't let it go. But yeah, he made it for me and I gave it the very original title, Hits. What's on there? Let's find out. All right, took a second, but that's Mariah Carey. That's Someday. There's some Whitney tracks off I'm Your Baby Tonight, MC Hammer's You Can't Touch This, Paula Abdul's Opposites Attract, Bonnie Raitt, The Pointer Sisters, some oldies, Jay and the Americans, Mamas and Papas, Peter and Gordon, Patsy Cline, a little ABBA, and then we end with Peter Cetera's Glory of Love. Wow. This is great, Dad. Thank you. And I'll save it for another time, but wait till you hear what's on the Sylver Fox Hip Hop Collection. I'm Sean Sylver, and this is Crack Rear View. Each week we talk with an interesting guest about the music we love through the lens of one of those old 10 CDs for a penny magazine ads. My guest today needs very little introduction. After decades of making people happy as a morning show host, DJ, the great Baltazar is in the house. And the year is 1985. Psyched to be joined today by the great Baltazar. You have had a career in radio and entertainment. If you're a Boston listener to this podcast, this man is the Jam Scam OG. It is a pleasure to have you on Crack Rear View today.
Oh, Sean, it's a pleasure here too, man. I'm so excited because we get to talk about the good old days, and you're from Sports Hub and talk sports, and I just get a chance to reflect back on some crazy memories of music, and I love what you're doing with this. So it was just like, what? I could do the what? And I remember vividly, I was just talking to my girlfriend about this. You get the Columbia House of Records in the mail, and you're like, my parents didn't speak English, so my sisters and I, when we got that, were like, for a penny? Oh my God! I was like, let's do it, and we just got, we got caught up in that stuff. So it makes sense. This whole thing hits home.
I mean, everybody kind of handled this differently. I'm the rule following only child. I knew that like I would get in trouble. Like I had to make sure that I took care of the books on this thing. But some
Yeah.
people were just like, yeah, I was signing up. I was Jim over here. I was John over there. I had different names I would sign up under, and I just got all these CDs. How'd that play out for you?
Yeah, well, I was my parents didn't speak English, and we had to translate everything.
Yeah.
So I basically hook, line, and sunk them into this is a great deal. This is music we listen to school. They're like, okay, whatever you want, papito. Let's sign you up. And the next thing you know, I'm getting charged. I guess it was like a record of the month club, and we would get all these obscure, like, I don't want this Bolero album or whatever it was. And we were like, we got to write a letter. So my sisters and I, we would write letters to Columbia House, shut it down. My parents don't want to pay this. And we still kept the 12 original CDs
Of
for the
course.
penny. So, they couldn't come back and get me. But I thought that was like, what a steal. You get all these CDs, your cassettes, or whatever you're playing with, and that you're enjoying the music, getting away with it for a penny. I was like, what? This is it.
Yeah, I mean, you're young, you're trying to experience new stuff, you're trying to build your music collection and kind of frame your sort of personality for what you are as a fan, right? Or as a young person. It was the ultimate deal. So when I
Yeah.
kind of came up with this idea, I was just like, everybody remembers this, right? So here we are talking.
Yep.
Did want to throw a couple of things at you here. You've been a DJ for some time, hosting events. If I could pick your brain to come to 2026 for a minute.
Let's go.
I got married 10 years ago, right? And we played a lot of hits of the 80s and 90s at our wedding. Can you give me a hint? What's the hot wedding song or songs of 2026?
The one that always, it's just a banger. It's just get everybody knows it. Even your grandparents, your uncles, and oh my God, it's Usher. Yeah, let's go. It's Usher. It's Usher. Yeah.
Yeah.
And even Flow Rider Low.
Yep.
Everybody knows it. Even
Yep.
people who, you'll be surprised, but you're the whitest of white grandma, grandpas, they get those two songs. You could delve into a little bit of Cool and the Gang, Celebrate.
Yep.
And I love what TikTok's doing. It'll bring a lot of songs from the 80s and 90s back into the forefront. So you could definitely get into, like, I Want to Dance with Somebody with Whitney Houston, Still
Yeah.
Hot. And, line dances always work, but I try to stay away from those. But the Cupid Shuffle is
Yep.
the new modern day kind of one going
Yes.
out there. But
My kids like the Cupid Shuffle.
yeah. And you probably playing Usher, yeah, at your wedding. It's just a crowd pleaser.
It's interesting how you mentioned TikTok, right? Kind of thinking about music, listening to other podcasts, reading about music. It seems like with TikTok and streaming that kids today are just, the younger generation are kind of into anything because they have access to anything. So I thought about like,
Yeah.
okay, I graduated high school 25 years ago, right? So our slow dance, I believe, I'm not totally sure, but I think it was like Casey and JoJo.
All my life.
I did some hard lobbying for Brian McKnight that year.
Back at one.
Yep. Maybe Angel by Shaggy was on there as a choice too. I remember
Yeah.
they gave us a card to pick from. Is it a sort of thing now with young people? Like, are they Are they introduced to throwbacks more easily just because the access they have to it?
Yeah, you know what's a hit or miss. I think like last night I did a prom, and I'm always like thinking what the kids thinking, because if I play an Usher, yeah, or maybe if you go flow right or low,
Mhm.
they're like, "Wow, this is what my parents like." You know what I'm saying? Because your parents are now like 30s, early
Man, yeah,
40s,
yeah.
and these guys are teenagers off that, and my mom and dad still like this record, and they might like it for that reason, but also being with mom and dad's music is not cool in the mindset of a teenager, right? So I was surprised that last night Usher, yeah, and Flow Rider Low took off, and but those are anthems. I think music's also timeless. You mentioned Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
You could drop Billie Jean and people get into it just because of the movies. Kind of refreshes that music from Michael. And ABBA is another artist that I find
Yeah.
that when you play Dancing Queen, you have a lot of these kids that got high school and their drama programs. You get that Grease,
Mhm,
and maybe they
mhm.
did a production of it. You find that the Descendants or High School Musical, those songs,
Oh, sure.
you pop them in and out of nowhere, and they're back on stage. These kids are like loving that stuff. So there's definitely a niche there that the kids get into. Yeah, absolutely, it still works.
Wow, that's a lot of work though, to having to keep up on what are the kids what are the kids into today when there's so many places. It used to be that
Yeah,
we got it from you on the radio, we got it from MTV, right? Or BET. Now there's just so many
it's
different
everywhere.
outlets, right? That just how do you even keep up
Yeah.
and figure out, like, reading the room has to be very tough.
Yeah, I mean, I always say this to clients who are doing weddings, like just because it worked last night doesn't mean it's going to work at your wedding. We got to look at what the age group is out there
Mm,
and bring them back to their heyday. Everybody's got that high school or college year where they were we ran this town, and they knew those anthems that they went to the karaoke bar and sang, right? And you can just picture the people who grew up in the 80s, and you're going to go, I'm going to go with this, and that as far as like songs. And then you got the older crowd, and you go, man, we got to go BG, Staying Alive, because they were hitting the discos
hmm
in their 20s. You have to look at the crowd and read the room. And if the song fails, just bail out, get out immediately. Don't lose the crowd, don't lose the momentum. It's stressful. That's what people don't understand. He goes, this guy, it's so easy just to play. No, it's not. You got to like almost like mind read.
I'll admit that I've done a relatively small number of events in that capacity, and the prep is crazy hard. And then yeah, you can prep all you want, but being in the moment, that is even tougher, because like you said,
Yeah.
you gotta think on your feet.
But when you're
It's
in the flow, and you see it, the fire building, the crowd gets bigger and bigger, and you feel the energy in the room. It's just you can't say anything about it. It's just like a special moment that you're in the zone.
Yeah, and that's something that, whether you're an on-air DJ, whether you're a live DJ, I don't know, I feel that sometimes where it's like I'm really connecting, I'm really just people are appreciating this, and that makes me
Yeah,
feel good, right? That's just
yeah.
what it's all about.
It's about music. I guess last week or 2 weeks ago when the whole thing came out with Vrabel and Rossini,
Mm,
and they had the Spotify music list. That's real human right there. You play a song on the radio and you hear it and you go back, oh, I was on a school bus. It brings back that memory of what you were doing or who you're dating, who you were hanging around in the club with. Those things, one song could capture that, and that's the great thing about music. It connects everybody one way or another. It's just a great bond.
yeah, everybody's got a kind of a different feel for how that song hits them, and what they were experiencing. So I asked you where we were going with this, and you said, okay, well, we could do 1995, which was your first year on the air in Boston, or we could do 85, which was your first year at radio. So I had to take the cheese on the last one. I just think that's fascinating. We have been predominantly 90s so far with our guests on this podcast.
Yeah.
But I love like breaking into radio stories. I love to hear about kind of like what inspired you, what was like the got you moment for getting into radio, and how that whole process worked out.
The crazy thing was 85. I was still my senior year in high school,
Yeah.
and the thing about myself was I wanted to be the next Brent Musburger. I wanted to be Costas. I was into sports. I kept everybody's stat. I was a junkie like that. I was just a complete, scorecard nerd,
Mhm, mhm.
and I would know everything about a stat. And people go, "Oh, you should do radio. You're great at it. You're a sportscaster." And there I was in high school at a basketball game, and nobody was using the microphone to introduce the lineups. And the two coaches in basketball had taken me under their wing because my dad had passed away. So I was kind of like this kid that they were like, don't get lost. We're going to keep you in sports. Come on and travel with us with the basketball team. So I had seen that in other opposing travel teams, they had this announcer, but we didn't have it at our school.
Mhm.
So I grabbed the microphone and started, making Warren Coolidge, back
There
the
we
White
go,
Shadow
White
was out there.
Shadow, yeah.
White Shadow, yeah. So I was like, let's do that. Just mimic the people that I saw on TV when you watch basketball game. They did the same thing, and people loved it. The next thing you knew, I had a whole thing, little template of how to just insert names from the opposing teams and create now 5'9" sophomore, whatever, whatever
Mhm,
the
mhm,
little repertoire that I had going. I found out real quick that sports radio is much difficult than being a DJ on the radio playing music.
mhm,
I went to a broadcasting school in Sacramento, California, where I grew up, and it was basically a correspondence school. So you tape stuff and then you submit it for a review.
mhm.
And they had these 12 lessons. If you completed it, you get your radio license. It was all BS, but I fell for it. So here I am, and one of the counselors there was on the radio, and he would review my stuff. And I said, "What do you think, sportscasting?" He goes, "Man, what are you doing, sports? You got a great personality. Look what I do at my radio station." Next thing you knew it, he had me walking up songs. Like in '85, I was just barely getting the radio, and I had all these songs that I was walking up. I was like, "This is so much fun."
Yeah.
And then I saw that here's the magic word, this got you girls. Instead of like talk sports radio, on the radio, you got girls calling you on the phone lines. And I was like, this is fun. Not even a week after graduating high school, I had a radio job at my local town on the air. So all the kids that I grew up and going to school with, hey man, why are you on the radio? And I was like, I'm cool, bro. I'm on the radio.
That's amazing. So, what was the format at your local station?
It was top 40. It was
Okay.
just, it was perfect. It was a station that I grew up listening to. And I was very cocky. I always listened to the DJs and I thought they were boring. So I sent a tape in, and the guy told me, I already have somebody for this part-time position, but we'll listen to your tape and we'll keep it in file. That was they were kind of like cushioning the blow that I couldn't get the
Yeah,
job.
yeah.
So I got home and the phone rings and it's him. He goes, "I just heard your tape. I'm going to tell the other guy that I hired that we're going to hire you instead." It's like, what?
You jumped the line.
I jumped the line. The next thing I knew it, the person who was doing the full-time job quit. So here I'm a part-timer being thrown into the fire. 16, 17 years old. I was on the radio, and it was funny because all the kids that never pay attention to me in school,
Mhm.
hey man, I'm at a party right now. Can you tell the girl that I'm with that you and I are buddies? Because she thinks you're pretty cool on the radio. And I told them we're friends. I said, yeah, yeah, bring her on the phone. This guy's a loser. I don't know who he is. So I got payback on all those people who never paid attention to me in school. And there I was on the radio. It was great.
Wow, that's yeah, and that audience obviously a little bit different from say the sports
Y-
radio
And I was making a thousand
slovenly male audience.
$1,000 a month. And I was like, the people who working at Burger King or all these fast food restaurants, they're not making this kind of a coin.
Yeah,
$1,000 a month. I was buku rich, man.
yeah, different era for radio, for sure, and probably lots of money you could use to go and buy more CDs. Lots of pennies there in that $1,000.
Oh, I used to love getting the best thing about radio was you always got free CDs.
Yeah,
They came in like once a week. The new hits are out. Here, grab a copy and pay attention. What record? What song we should be playing?
yeah,
So I always got free stuff. Yeah.
awesome. So 85, you're out in the West Coast. What's really speaking to you at this time? What are you into, I guess? You're on a top 40 format, but are you like a top 40 listener? Is there a particular avenue that you like to listen
Yeah.
to one style more than another?
I love top 40 because I'm really a frustrated boy band member that never had a chance to be a boy band member.
Oh, no.
So So I was always captivated that these guys, these pretty boys, were, like at that stage, it was Duran Duran, and all the chicks loved them, and I
Hmm.
was like, Duran Duran. Oh, they got the skinny ties, So Duran Duran that year was really on the radio, so they were big, and it spurred off other labels like Columbia to get Wham,
Yep.
George Michael and Andrew Risley to form that band, and then Aha was all part of that mini boy band clique. So I enjoyed those songs because I thought the girls liked those groups.
Yeah.
You know, if I want to delve into a more of a rock from that era, Journey,
Hmm.
the Separate Ways. I forget the name of the album right now, but when that
Frontiers, I think.
yeah, Frontiers,
Yeah.
exactly. And those were California bands. Journey was from Fresno, which is just down the road where I grew up, and Steve Perry, and they were just icons in that area. So we always heard it, and that was a great album. Um, then you got to figure that Madonna, because all the girls in high school were wearing I guess they had the spider web look. I mean,
Yeah.
they had
Yep.
the whole Madonna thing with the
Yep.
the wristbands and everything. So she was incredible on the radio as well. Plus Phil Collins, and nobody talks about it, but Miami Vice changed the 80s. It was part MTV, part cop show. Crockett and Tubbs were on a chase to bust somebody. Jan Hammer. The
Yep.
music came
Jan
on,
Hammer. Yep.
and you're like, oh, wait, oh, shiznit, it's going down. He's in a Ferrari, and they're playing the music
Man. Yeah. Miami Vice with
in the air tonight.
the
In the
pastel
air, got a
pastel
second
colors,
life.
right? Yeah, no, Phil was, I mean, No Jacket Required was what? Susudio's on there, One More Night, Take Me Home.
Take Me Home is from the Miami Vice. I believe it was a mini movie, and it ended up so big that Phil Collins got like a reoccurring role on Miami Vice. I don't know if you know that, but he
Wow,
was kind
I
of like yeah, I think it was a game show host on Miami Vice. I enjoyed it, man. What's another group? The Bangles. That was
yeah.
they came on the scene, and it was like the Go Go's all over again. They struck it big on the radio.
Yeah, they walk like an Egyptian. You get to, Eternal Flame, Hazy
Manic
Shade of
Monday.
Winter, oh, Manic Monday, which that's another thing we haven't quite gotten to yet is Prince's influence is just looking at this like Columbia House ad here. Prince's influence is everywhere. It's not only Prince's albums, which are listed like 1999's on here, obviously Purple Rain, the big one, but he's writing for other acts, he's influenced other acts, he's managing other careers. It it's it's crazy. Like, did Prince even sleep from like 1985 1982 to 1985? I don't know.
Who was he sleeping with? He was linked to so many girls: Apollonia,
Yep.
Sheena Easton,
Yeah,
you
Vanity,
name it,
right.
Sheila E.
Sheila
And
E's
that
on here too. Yep.
and it was the Minneapolis sound too. It was just he had created this sound that everybody wanted to kind of mimic. And I just watched George Michael. I was a big fan of George Michael. His songs
Mhm.
were with off the Faith album, and he was doing, remember that song Monkey, and he loved what they're from Minneapolis.
Jimmy Jamich.
Jimmy Jimmins, yeah, he went to them and said, I want what you did to Janet to do this to the song,"
Yeah.
and they added that the Prince. I guess the spider web flew everywhere, right? He had his tentacles and everything. He was influencing so many artists.
Yeah, and then it's New Jack Swing coming out of Minneapolis, as you noted there by the end of the decade. So,
Yeah,
it's crazy too, just to think of Minneapolis, like what a place to be the birth of all this great music that
yeah. I
influenced
just
so many
watched,
other artists.
sticking with that era, Sean. I watched the Michael Jackson thing, and it made me reflect on "We Are the World" was the biggest song in '85, right? Because of
Mhm.
all the big artists there. And I watched the Netflix special on that, and how Michael didn't want Prince there. There was a rivalry there that nobody talked about. And I just watched the MJ movie, and Quincy Jones also had brought it up in the movie, and he pretty much said "F Prince." Michael
Wow.
Jackson was hating on Prince.
Whoa! I didn't know that that was personal there. I mean, I get it. Some artists just don't mix, right? Or you kind of feel like you own a certain territory or a segment of the listenership.
Yeah, it
Man,
really was like a Yankees against the Red Sox rivalry there. Like, I'm gonna outdo him. I can't let Prince win.
I can I can only imagine a throwdown between those two guys. You remember MTV Celebrity Deathmatch with the claymation characters,
Yes,
right? Michael Jackson and
classic.
Prince. We need to see that one if those guys are still animating stuff. I'm sure AI could make it nowadays, but either way, just wow. Yeah, Thriller's on here. Had Thriller. I think I listened to Bad more, by the
Yeah,
time that came out. I don't know why. It was maybe more rocky, and that was me, but Beat It, the first time I heard Eddie Van Halen in my life, even though I didn't know that that was Eddie Van Halen, like Van Halen's my all-time favorite band. So that was
Van Halen's album was right there. I believe that was
or
Jump.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, 84 would have been 1984 would have been Roth's last, and then Sammy comes on for 5150. So we're
When Love Walks In.
a
Oh,
very transitional time. And Sammy's coming to 77-year-old Sammy Hagar, I think, maybe 78. He's coming out to Mansfield this summer. My cousins and I are going. We went a couple of years ago. He's got a great band. He's got Joe Satriani in there.
wow.
Kenny Aronoff is the drummer. So yeah, they got a good thing going. So we'll
Break
we'll
out the
go and
zebra colored leotards, man. Let's go.
I will neither confirm nor deny owning one of those, but might have to for Sammy Hagar's last run. I'm already loving this conversation here. So we're going Columbia House here, 1985. We've already named some bands, so I might have some directions of where you're going here. But we
Yeah.
could pick 11 albums here for one
Ooh.
penny, and I see on here it's kind of crazy, like some of the stuff that they're promoting. You've got Foreigner and REO Speedwagon are here in living color. Their tapes are displayed, and like there's two bands that there's a lot of 70s survivors on here. Even a guy like Billy Ocean, who is like in his mid 30s and is getting a big hit with Caribbean Queen. But Foreigner and REO have like gone full ballad at this point, which is definitely working for them. But you got like I Want to Know What Love Is, I Can't Fight This Feeling. We
Yeah.
got we got Phil Collins, we got Wham, we've got Madonna, obviously just a freaking tank of an album with
It's a
Like a
great
Virgin.
year. It's
It's such a great year, and you got all those holdovers from like 83 and 84, like Cyndi Lauper. She's So Unusual is probably one of my all-time favorite albums of all. She does a Prince cover on there, When You Were Mine. Like
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
yeah, that's why when you said 85, I was like, I don't usually do 80s on here, but like this is just too good to pass up. Like
It's so good.
yeah.
And then now it's really sobering when you hear it on Light FM and you're like, "Oh my God."
No.
No joke. The other day,
Oh,
careless. I take my kids to school early, and they have a rule when because I was playing Careless Whisper, full blown, and I'm never gonna dance again.
yeah.
And we get to the school, and my kids go, "Can we turn down the radio before we open up the doors?" And I was like, "Okay." I get it. You're embarrassed.
Oh man.
Too
Oh man.
cool. You
Yeah.
gotta be. Yeah. I'm sorry to embarrass you, but I'm
Well,
cranking up my Careless Whisper.
Well, there was a point where like the sexy sax man or whatever, what an internet meme where they do Careless Whisper, and there was the guy playing the saxophone in like a sensual manner, and like there was a while
Oh
there where I guess the kids might have been onto that, but that was probably like 10 or more years ago at this point. It's like
yeah.
I can't keep up with any of this stuff. Like,
He wrote
uh,
that at the age of 16. It was incredible,
really?
the saxophone part. And then, from what I saw in the documentary, somebody got a hold of it and it said they sent it off to a Motown producing team, and then they added that real soulful vibe to the Careless Whisper song. He was kind of like a blue-eyed soul guy, right? He was
Yeah.
before Justin, and I guess he was right with Daryl Hall, as far as like being so soulful but being so white.
Yeah.
So.
It's crazy, just looking at this and thinking about the influence that gets passed around. I mean, like, even Ronnie, Bobby, Ricky, and Mike, and and Ralph
Right.
are on here too. Like New Edition's first album after they broke from Maurice Starr, right? But that's in here as well. So from Prince to the boy bands to, like you're saying, George Michael and the Blue Eyed Soul influence that plays into like 90s artists and 2000s artists that we love now.
Yeah.
Yes, all this stuff may be on Light FM, but that's not a knock. That's
It's classic.
it's
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 timeless.
it's good
Yeah.
stuff. It's good stuff. So yeah, we've already covered a bunch of ground, but if we're doing this for official purposes,
Yeah.
where would you want to start?
I think Make It Big
Yeah.
right off the bat. That had hit after hit after hit. It was really the beginning of the end. That was the one album that proved that he can go solo, and Andrew was just basically playing air guitar, pretending to be part of the whole thing, right?
Mm,
Um, the one that stands out to me, One More Night, Phil Collins. Another one that had, I think, Studio, Easy Lover.
hmm
You can just go on over and over play his album. I was Madonna. I wasn't really big into, but I became very respectful as I got into the watching what she did year after year. Everybody wanted to play the first Madonna song, so that Material Girl album really, it was kind of like the second album she had,
hmm
and just got her on her way.
Well, yeah, and she picked Nile Rodgers to produce that. I had read,
Yeah,
basically the record company was like, you can take a little more ownership of this second record here because you've had Borderline and Lucky Star and Holiday. You'd had some hits, and she's like, I want to produce this myself, and they were like, well, no, but we can compromise here, and she's like, yeah, I want Nile Rodgers to produce, and obviously he brought in the band,
yeah.
and they just made just that's one of the greatest selling albums of all time. Can't do anything but respect that.
I think Jellybean was on that album too. Sidewalk Talk. I think she had so many New York little side producers that they
Ah,
started their career. You look at a lot of these freestyle artists that are big in the Northeast, New York and Miami. I think they were influenced by Madonna. I think it opened up some doors for them because there was a different sound. It wasn't what we're used to. It didn't have a
yeah.
rock bass. It was more of a dancey thing.
hmm
Um, Obscure. I don't even know if he had a CD out in '85, but Stevie B, the king of freestyle, that whole type of music. I don't know if Columbia had more CDs,
They
but
got some wild stuff on here, but I did not catch Stevie B on here.
Stevie
So
B
yeah,
when he had the mullet and it was a little chunkier. He was that was classic. Pockets of people in Quincy, New Bedford, maybe Fall River, they remember that kind of music.
yeah.
Um, but going back to the big hits, Cyndi Lauper would probably be something that my sisters would choose,
hmm
and and I would go, okay, you can have one, and I get the other 11 CDs for a penny. I'm all for Foreigners. That was kind of like bringing back Foreigner, but they only had one hit on that album, which is "I Want to Find Out What Love Is," right?
Yeah,
And then Lou Gramm went on his own after that.
yeah. Midnight Blue, right?
Y-
So
Yeah.
Lou was trying it out. Now, I got to get your take on this actually, because this is a thing that's come up in discussion a lot. My college roommate is like the biggest Foreigner fan.
Okay, here we go.
So I've seen Foreigner, with Lou. I've seen him with Kelly Hansen, who was their lead singer for a while. Obviously going to these shows with my roommate. But the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade last year, Foreigner was on a float,
Uh oh.
and it's the new Foreigner, and the fact that Mick Jones was kind of the last remaining member of the band. He's
Right.
retired, and it's just all guys who are not the original Foreigner playing Foreigner songs. Where do you lay on the idea of a band continuing on and keeping the name? They're essentially a tribute act at this point, but they're billing themselves at Foreigner. Like, how do you feel about that stuff?
Yeah, I was actually playing golf with someone today, and he does his group's called the Dad Bods, and they do a lot of '70s covers.
Yeah,
Yeah, they play all over the place in Medway and
there we
Medfield
go.
area,
There we
just to
go.
give him a little
It's my
plug. But
neighborhood.
he said that the Allman Brothers was one of his inspirational to get into music,
hmm
and I said, well, what are they doing now? They still alive? I mean, this guy dated Cher way back in the day. They must, Greg Allman must be dead, right? And the same thing there. They changed, almost like an ongoing theme in this music industry where replacement players come in. I think that works in sports. You can change the quarterback. We got Drake May instead of Tom Brady now, and
Sure. Still the
but I think
Patriots,
with
right? Yeah.
with with music, you can't replicate that sound, right? You can't. I guess you could still vibe to it because it's a song, but that whole the original voice is missing, right? So uh, I'm gonna say, no, I don't like it.
How are you feeling about Tina Turner in 1985 making that big comeback?
A lot of
Yeah.
songs that were hits. The first cut off that album was what was the slow song? Your Secret Lover. What was it? The song
Private
I can't.
Dancer?
Yeah, Private Dancer.
Yeah.
And she, oh, I mean, she looked. I don't know how old she was in the '80s, '85, but she was up there in age already.
Yeah.
She was making a comeback probably at 45, 50, and she never changed. She was like, she always looked the same. Never aged. The ones that people don't talk about is "Simply the Best." That song's
Yeah.
my anthem right there. Just the words, better than all the rest.
Yeah, no, she was amazing. I mean, even up to, I think she toured. I forget when Tina passed. It was a few years ago, I want to say. But
Yeah.
she toured in the 2010s. And, she's well into her 70s at that point. She was just getting out there and rocking it. Like, I always remember my dad talking about Tina Turner. my, my my dad. Apparently, my dad a leg guy. He was always like, Tina Turner's legs are insured for $1 million.
Yes. Yes. Lloyd's of London.
There you go.
I believe it. I think so. I think that was always like an urban legend, but I believe so. I want to throw. I don't know if Richard Marx exists in '85, but he was another '80s anthem king.
Mm,
Right here waiting. I think it's more '88, '89,
yeah,
right? I
yeah,
don't think it
yeah.
was '85. But that kind of, I think Survivor and like you said, Foreigner, those groups, REO Speedwagon inspired him probably.
This is crazy because this is the second time that we brought up Richard Marx in the last 2 weeks. the,
Yeah,
the
he
context
did.
of the
He did jingles. He did
yeah,
jingles, and all of a sudden he's on the radio. And I believe he still wrote songs for some boy bands in the early '90s.
and yeah,
And
that was it. He wrote "This I Promise You," I think, for NSYNC, and there's probably some
exactly,
others there too. So just shows the versatility there of one Richard Marx.
Richard Marx and the classic mullet. He had that
Yeah.
mullet thing going too.
Oh, I thought that was the coolest. Like, I'm pretty sure like my dad had a Richard Marx tape. You back
Oh,
back then you'd have he had a Ford Ranger pickup, and the passengers like side of the car, you'd have just like the little compartment, not the glove box, right? But there was just like a little empty space,
right.
and we just filled it up with the cassettes. And so
Yes.
so dad's driving, we're doing errands, we're going to the hardware store, we're going to Benny's or whatever on a Saturday, and I'm checking out the tapes and I'm reading all the stuff. I remember Richard Marx was in there among many, many others, but Richard Marx's mullet, I was like, oh man, I wish I could do that. Now my hair,
Yeah.
I grew out my hair during COVID, and I found out that I never could have pulled off a mullet ever. A little too curly and wavy for that, but
Right. Right.
still,
Right. 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 Yeah.
Richard Marx had some help too, probably with some product, but yeah, he was he was doing his thing.
Those songs we're talking about, these are like real men writing love songs, and you would, as a teenager, you'd like steal the. Okay, I'm gonna write a love letter, and I'm gonna steal that right here, waiting. You steal the lyrics
Mm.
from words from the lyrics from these songs, and it helped you through it, man. It got you the girl.
Because that's what it's all about, right? That
Yeah.
first radio job,
Oh man. It really was. It was just you have to pay me money. Where's the girls? What's going on, man? Uh,
can I ask you, you mentioned your folks growing up, right?
Great.
Um, did they have any music that they were into that might have caught on with you, or were you just kind of like, I'm over that,
That's
I'm plunging into top 40?
No, that's funny because again, they brought me into the country. I was 3, and they actually we had green cards growing up. They brought us across, and my dad's whole mantra was, "I just want you to get a job that has air conditioning. I don't want you being a migrant worker like we are."
Mm, mm.
And my mom was a stay-home mom, and they were very religious. So we never the music was the devil's music. So we would sneak it in, and you
Okay.
know, so they never got into the music. My mom played some Mexican music. She liked the ranchero music, which is big in Texas. And my dad never liked it, so we had to turn off. All the music was turned off when he got home. He was very strict and hardcore Mexican. But to the day he passed away, he never said "I love you" to me. He was kind of like that hardcore,
Okay. Okay.
don't cry, don't let
Yeah.
the see let those that kind of vibe. um So they didn't influence me as musically at all, but it was that little cocoon that they had us so sheltered that when we heard a song of Michael Jackson, I remember the first time I heard Bee Gees "Staying Alive" as a kid, I was like,
Mhm,
"What is
mhm.
this? It's a hit." You knew it was a hit. I don't know what it was. It was just something that made you move and happy, and that's where you kind of catch that drug of music where it makes you feel good and you want more of it. And it was just like that, off the wall,
Yeah.
into the Thriller, all these Michael Jackson songs. You know,
Yeah. And hey, I mean, that stuff that made you happy back then. And they're
hmm
still making people happy with that now. It's just really a testament to the power
it
of what we're talking about here.
that's the great thing about our industry is that it is a job, but we get so many benefits and so much reward from just making people smile and happy and bringing back joy to their life, whatever they're going through. When I was on the radio, whatever laugh you made them go through, whatever sentiment that you kind of bonded on, um, grew our relationship without even knowing anybody. People come up to me now and they tell me, the day you did this, the song that when you scammed that guy, I still remember it. I knew where it was.
Yeah.
It was such a, I don't know if you can compare it to anybody else's job. It was just, it's a great way to, um, you almost don't want to get paid because it's so rewarding just having fun with people.
I found on YouTube, someone had uploaded like a morning show of jamming from like 1998.
Yes,
And you guys are mourning, I think, Curtis Martin's departure to the New York Jets, right?
it was sick. We had this whole bit. I came in. It was the year Canseco came into town, and he
Oh
was
yeah.
kind of like the big cheese. And the funny thing is, I lived in a place called "If You Lived Here, You'd Be Home Now," Charles River,
Mhm.
where the Red Sox had residents there, Patino, some of the Celtics, and I said, "Oh my God!" I told my producer, I said, "Jose Canseco's in town. We should do this campaign of Jose's got to call Baltazar to welcome me into town." We're like, so. And months later, when this whole thing, he never called us,
Oh man.
but we always hear from his people, "Stop doing that. Jose can't leave. We're out." People are harassing him. Why does he call Baltazar? And I said, "There's one way to stop it. Just have us call. Come on the show."
I'm sure Jose would be happy to do anything that would get him any sort of attention
So
now. So
so that had worked.
yeah.
So remember that worked with me, Jose. The momentum on that, and that year, first year on the radio, we almost beat Maddie. We were 1-2, and Manny was just the icon of Boston radio. He
Yeah.
was just, you topple him, it's incredible. So we were like on this, heaping a momentum, and all of a sudden Curtis Martin comes in, and Pebbles shares with me that she has a crush on Curtis Martin. So I said, "Screw this, screw Jose Canseco. This is going to be bigger. Curtis Martin, call Pebbles,"
Did,
and
did
he
Curtis
never
Martin ever call?
Curtis Martin never called. I went down to Gillette. I hung out with Ty Law. Ty Law had a cousin who would warm up his Mercedes Benz during practice, just play music. And I hung out when they were out practicing. I said, "Well, this is a player parking lot, right? We can hang out here, and Curtis Martin going to come by." Curtis Martin came to the fence and told me, "Stop doing it. I'm not going to call." And I was like, "Come on, man. You're a
Oh
nice
man.
guy. This can
Yeah.
only help." No, I'm sorry. I don't. Oh.
Tony Braxton forbade it, right?
Tony Braxton had the hots for Rick Fox. Uh,
Oh yeah.
yeah, I
Well,
think
wasn't Rick Fox married to Vanessa Williams?
at that time I think he was still single and ready to mingle.
Okay.
And yeah, but
Well,
yeah, Vanessa
Rick, I guess,
Williams.
had his choice. Number
Rick
44.
Fox was a pretty man. He had the light skin, the beautiful eyes, and
Mhm.
he's a Celtic. So, but yeah, Curtis never called us. The funny thing that came out of that, this is a funny story, Sean. So we're on the radio, in the morning. This is where the Patriots drive into work. They go out to their practice. So I'm at the old Mercury bar down on Boylston, and here comes Willie McGinnis and Chris Slade.
Yeah.
And I said, "Hey, I'm hosting a club night. I'd love to have some Patriots. Who are you, man?" "Baltazar." "Oh my God, it's Baltazar. He's here. Hey." But they're like freaking out about me. So the
That's
next thing you
amazing.
know, those guys are offering me tickets. So I'm going out to the Patriots games, and I'm sitting in the basically the player section where the families are, right?
Mhm, mhm.
and I'm sitting next to Sam Gash's wife, and oh, you got a jam scam Sam. He was like a fullback. Parcells
Yeah,
brought
yeah.
him in to be a
Number
fullback.
33. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. And so him and Ben Coates had the game of his life. They had like I think he got like five between them both. They had like these five touchdown passes and the biggest game of Sam Gash's life.
Yeah.
He's also the player rep for the Patriots. So his wife is giving me all this information to jam scam him. So of course that week I call up from the league office,
Yeah.
um, and the Chargers have turned in some credible evidence that you and Ben Coates were using Stickum to catch the balls. Sam Gash is freaking out. But he was such a good Christian guy. We
Yeah.
never got him to
Yeah.
curse.
Oh,
He got heated, but at the end when we tell him it's a jam scam, he goes, "Oh, he's oh shucks," He's like he was such a goody two shoes, right? And that year they ended up playing Jacksonville in the AFC Championship game, and that was the infamous line from Bill Parcells: "Sam Gash, a piece of you is on this trophy," because he was such a great leader.
yeah.
And I mean, I got a call from Chris Slade that year when they played the Packers in the Super Bowl. He goes, "Hey man, you come to the game?" And I was like, "I don't have a flight out there." "Well, I got tickets for you. Just figure it out." And I was like, "What?" I didn't go.
Man, that era of Patriots team. I mean, you talk to Baltazar, you know you're going to get some music. You're definitely going to get some sports. But yeah, that Patriots team just so much for me just resonates.
Yeah, what were you doing in '85? I mean, that was '95 to '96. So, what were you in high
I'm
school
in.
or?
I'm in. Yeah, 97 when they were early '97 where they're playing that Super Bowl. I'm in eighth grade. But actually,
Oh, living it.
I'm loving it. I got the royal blue jerseys with the
Flying Elvises, yeah.
oh man, yeah, Flying Elvis, exactly. Just so into that team, and it was really a shame how it all ended. I actually a few years ago, I reached out. I did like a retrospective on that '96 Patriots Super Bowl team, and I talked to Ted Johnson, talked to Lawyer Malloy as well for that, and wrote that for the Sports Hub website. That was really pretty cool, kind of getting some of that inside
Oh
information on
man.
what it was all like. But you're proving it. You're proving it to me now. That was a likable team. Those were likable guys. I mean, they were playing in that old dumpy Foxborough Stadium, and just like they played above their head, and just everybody jumped on board.
That game against Jacksonville, I remember vividly because we're out in the stands. It was freezing cold, and the scoreboard went out, and they had to stop the game
Oh wow,
against Jacksonville. They
yeah,
stopped the game because they lost power, and that was kind of like an indicator we need a new stadium. And then, a few years later, of course, Gillette comes in. Um, yeah, many memories, man. But
yeah,
it was
yeah,
a high school. It was a glamorized high school field, basically.
yeah. No, it obviously there have been a lot of wins since then, but that little team that didn't go all the way, just I think it really resonates for a lot of people. It was a good time.
No doubt.
Tough time for the Celtics with Patino weren't super great. The Bruins weren't super great, but those Patriots teams had us all in their grasp. Good stuff. Hey, I could probably talk music. I could talk sports with you forever.
Oh, I love
Um,
this.
I don't know if there's anything else, from that time that you want to hit on. Um,
Just a couple.
yeah,
It wasn't a big album or anything, but '85 was also the beginning of this. I was still underage, but I was sneaking into clubs because I was on the radio, and everybody thought I was an older guy.
yeah,
And just a couple of songs that popped out, like the Jermaine Stewart. We don't have to take our clothes off.
yeah.
Yeah, it was disciple of Shalimar, one of the backup singers, and he came great. It was like one hit wonders, right? But
Right,
it was
right.
such a that was the year to do it. '85 in the '80s was a one hit wonder kind of year, where they just did their thing and left. It was one hit.
Pretty much. I'm trying to scan this list to see.
Janet Jackson was probably '86, but she was on
Control.
the
Yeah.
verge. Yeah,
Yep.
Control came on, and I think it was another pop shot at Joe Jackson. I think Control. Everybody's controlling her. The parents are controlling her.
Hmm.
That was in the MJ movie. How that dad really just got into him, and he wanted a piece of the cake there, a piece of the pie, and wanted to manage them to the end.
Yeah, and Janet just once she got loose, it's almost like with a lot of these like American Idol winners, right? You know, they win American Idol, they're under the thumb of, you know, like a powerful management team, and they kind of think they know which direction they're going to steer
Right.
these people, but these people have ideas of their own, and then once they break, I've almost totally cliched that. Once they break away, like Kelly Clarkson,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but you know, like they get some other sort of thing going on where they're more of their true self, and that's what Janet did, and she's just been, man, I was so bummed. I was really happy, but for her, but I was so bummed. I remember we got tickets to see Janet Jackson at the Garden. I forget when this was, but
Yeah.
then she got pregnant, and it was like, oh, Janet Jackson's having a kid. That's great. She canceled the tour though.
Oh, what year was that? Because
It
we had
was
we
probably
did
like 10 or 12 years ago. It was a while ago.
right. We did a promotion with Janet Jackson. What would you do for Janet Jackson front row seats? And everybody came up with the craziest one was I'm gonna tattoo Janet Jackson's face to my butt. That was, and we didn't want to get sued for that, so we had this other woman who just wanted to shave her entire hair off. So we took her backstage, and watching Janet perform, I was kind of bummed out. I was so naive. She did again,
Yep.
or yeah, come back to me, come back to me,
Hmm.
come back to me, and she puts the microphone out, and everybody sings it,
Yep.
and she goes, "Oh, you sound like angels tonight," and so I'm like, "Oh my God, we sound like angels." I was such a, you know,
Yeah, just
and
a
I'm
mark for
watching
Janet Jackson. Yeah.
she said that to us, right? She must love Boston. Then I'm watching the HBO special, and she shot it in New York, and she the same. Oh, you guys all sound like angels tonight. I'm like, oh, that was such a fake. Oh, I thought it was just so
Oh,
sincere, and it
oh
wasn't. It was
man.
so fake.
Yeah. These performers, they have their little ticks and their little lines, and yeah, you
Yeah.
got to make people feel special. You know,
Was
back
'85 too early for Bon Jovi? Slippery When Wet. That was another
that was
iconic album
that
in
was
the
in
'80s.
'86, but yeah,
Yeah,
that's definitely another one that I have that on tape, and
yeah.
I think it still plays. I haven't played it maybe in a couple of years, but
Oh
I,
man, the album cover and the shot of the girls washing the cars. That was Slippery When Wet. That was just, who is Bon Jovi and where are my acid wash jeans? Let's go. That was one of my first concerts. I had an epic week. I got into radio, and I got all these free concert tickets. Got to see Salt and Pepper and L Cool J. Um,
whoa, what a week!
yeah, and then that Saturday it was Cinderella opening up for Bon Jovi. And
Cinderella, wow.
so Cinderella is at the Cow Palace. We're waiting for Bon Jovi. My buddy and I are, again, we're just out there having a blast, trying to pick up girls, right?
Hmm.
Cinderella, I forget the lead singer, but somebody threw like a bottle rocket right by him, and he goes, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! Shut the music down." He goes, "We're here having fun. If anybody's hurting you, kick their ass." It was such a rocker voice.
Yeah.
And then he goes, "See that guy right there? He just threw a bottle rocket at me. Kick his ass." And everybody swarmed on this one guy and
Uh-oh.
beat him up. It was like, I was definitely no longer a concert newbie. Within 1 week, I had seen everything. The hip hop, you go into the Stockton Auditorium where everybody's a gang member
Yeah.
wearing 8-ball jackets. I don't know if I'm going to survive the night. I might get stabbed. And then you go to the opposite and Bon Jovi Cinderella with white kids everywhere and kick his ass.
A little bit of danger in the air wherever you went. I mean, look, you mentioned that I'm sure those venues, like, is the Cow Palace even around anymore? But that was like a
No,
legendary place, you know,
it,
for
yeah.
all sorts of stuff.
Those concerts, when they threw the concert, you had that epic voice, that guy who did the voice for those great places, and you're like, "Coming to the Cow Palace."
Yeah, yeah.
And it was just like, oh man, I'm pumped. It was just a formula to get you out there. I think they lost that. Now they just have the South Shore Amphitheater, which is probably like an Xfinity Center.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I love destination rock shows. We're probably going to go out to see Lionel Richie in Arizona this summer, just because it's them and Earth, Wind, Fire opening up. I think it's kind of like a great way to enjoy music in a different
Ooh,
forum and a different venue, right? In
that's
Arizona.
that's got to be awesome. I mean, just the fact that Lionel's still doing it. He's on here. I think "Can't Slow Down" is on this ad, which is the one that has "All Night Long" and "Hello" and as the big hits. I also think
Yeah,
the self-titled is on here, right, with that like
I
bright cover.
Penny
Um,
Lover, walk on by. Yeah, that one. Hello. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, man,
Good
and
one. That I think that year I did actually order with Columbia that whole album, man. That was so many hits. It's Lionel.
yeah, and talking so many hits like Earth, Wind, and Fire's greatest hits is on here. I think that was probably like released in the '70s, but that's another band. Like I have one of their anthology CDs, and it's just
Oh,
there's so many bangers on there. And Philip Bailey's got his solo album on here as well. That was the one with Phil Collins.
Easy Lover.
Oh, what a song!
I didn't know who was the lead singer. Was it Philip Bailey or Maurice, the guy who sung for Earth, Wind, and Fire? They both, I guess, had their own songs within the
Yeah,
group,
right,
right?
right.
Yeah.
Kind of gave him a different thing. And Commodores are doing Night Shift on here too. I saw, which is that's their post Lionel era.
Yeah, I believe that was off Thank God It's Friday, the movie.
Yeah,
We, and I never saw the movie, but it had a couple Commodore songs on there. I was kind of like the soundtracks would be coming since the Bee Gees were successful with Saturday Night Fever.
hmm
These soundtracks were coming out, and that was one of them that was popular there.
yeah, yeah. No, there's a lot of
But Night
soundtracks.
Shift.
I love that song, and that's a Marvin Gaye, Jackie Wilson tribute.
Okay.
They start out speaking the first verse. They're speaking their Marvin, and the second
Yes.
second verse they're going Jackie. So I always like that one. That's also kind of a bit of a personal theme song, working crazy radio hours.
Well,
It's
what
one
station were you on back then?
community radio.
Yeah, was it rotary pots or sliders? That was the big thing about. We had rotary pots, and I was like, why can't we get sliders? They're fancier.
Yeah, no, I got into it, when I was in college, so that would have been like, early 2000s. So
Yeah,
it was all sliders there. I never had to learn a lot of that really complicated stuff that, I mean, hell, even now, like I try to treat everybody who produces a show that I'm doing just like appreciate you so much because they can do all this stuff to keep the damn show on the air that I would have no idea what button, what I have no clue. It's
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, people don't know, but now with voice tracking, you have to know more because you're actually recording shows, and if you don't have it recorded properly, like hitting record could be
Mhm.
like a different button that people aren't used to, and all of a sudden, what happened? I taped for 3 hours. Where is
Oh man.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good transition to. Well, I'll tell you, back in '85 when I first got on radio, the station where I was, it's called KFIV. That was the station that inspired for American Graffiti, where Wolfman Jack,
Wow.
yeah, in Modesto, California, where the first Taco Bell and American Graffiti was shot, Wolfman Jack worked at KFIV, this station. So being part of that lineup, history of KFIV is a great honor for me. But I came on the first month; they were still putting records with the needle down on the album to
Wow.
start it off and hit
Yeah,
play,
yeah, yeah.
and you'd be like having I just hit the post, that means to walk up and hit
hmm
this, when the vocals come on, and I would be so excited. I would lift the needle up, and all of a sudden there would be no sound, and I'm like, oh my god, where was it in the song? And I just dropped it back in like nobody, pretend like it never happened. And then it went to carts, which is like basically 8 track,
Yep.
and finally CDs, and now everything's on a computer, and it's watered down. Radio's changed so much, and I have to say that radio's kind of got lazy. It hasn't really had like a farm system to cultivate talent and also
Yeah.
change the routine. It's kind of cookie cutter right now, right? So people are getting bored with it. It's background music, you know.
Yeah. Radio just it means a lot to me, not just because I, have a job at a really cool sports radio station, but it was something that meant a lot, all formats that meant a lot to me as a kid, and AM FM just it didn't matter. And like I still love just like hearing about the origins of radio, the history of radio. Like, you're mentioning Wolfman Jack, like the border blasters, right? Like the big giant stations coming in from over the border that you couldn't really
Oh,
regulate.
yes.
Like I recently was
All the
delving
way from
in.
Chi-Town.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, wherever you were, you're like honing in on that signal from 3,000 miles away. It's crazy.
Right, it's so crazy, but I feel like there are, I don't know how many, if it's enough to really sustain the industry, but there's people out there, there are young people who, have an appreciation for DJing and that
Yeah.
like companionship that radio provides, right? It's just a matter of getting them the opportunities that they need to shine.
Yeah, it's so true. When I was starting radio, I was kind of envious. There was a guy that took a summer to drive to every single market, and guess what he did? He would hit play record when it came on the radio. He had every call letters, top of the hour announcer. You are,
Wow.
yeah, and he taped it, and he made. I mean, now it would be all over. I haven't found it anywhere
Like a
online.
supercut basically, right? Yeah.
It was the ultimate radio. Like you would walk around with the heart on because if you were in a radio, you were into that stuff. Everybody's station's call letters had a great way of presenting themselves from
Oh,
the
hey,
top of the Empire State Building, and like I want to work at that station. You
yes,
know,
yes, so good. Well, I still remember, when our mutual friend Brandon, we were talking about you, and it just, I hear the name Baltazar, and I all of a sudden I hear the imaging, and I just hear Baltazar, and
yes.
it's like that. I'm back in my mid to
The,
late '90s jamming wheelhouse.
can I tell you how that started?
Yeah,
So here I was in New York. I was at a hip hop station, Hot 97, which is now like
yeah,
we had started hip hop in New York,
the
and
legendary.
yeah, I mean, you name it, that's where it began in New York. So I get hired from jamming because I was doing a night show there, and they wanted to incorporate the same kind of level of energy from a night show in the morning. So they brought me in. Eventually, hired Pebbles too.
Hmm.
And my biggest concern was I grew up in California, and all I knew was the Celtics played in Boston, and it was the whitest town in the world. And here I am, like a Latin kid. There aren't probably not many Mexicans, not many Latin people. How can I get the ultra white, white bread people here that pronounce Baltazar? It's such a tough name.
Yeah, yeah,
So I would go Baltazar. Now you say it to get him to thinking about it.
yeah,
And we had a guy, Doug McCaskill. I think he's still there at the Sports Hub.
yep.
He was our producer, and he goes, "B, I got an idea. You know the whole Baltazar thing?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "I did something," and he brought me in the studio, and he played. Remember the frogs? But why? The
Sure,
frogs
sure.
were.
Yeah, yeah, of
He did
course.
it with Baltazar. He mimicked the whole commercial, and I was like, "Oh my god!" And Beavis and Butthead, he did the same thing. Baltazar. That's cool. Say it again. Say it again. It was just like it took off.
Oh man,
So,
time and place, like that stuff makes me laugh
and
so
then
much.
people would
Oh,
they would come to me at events, and they go, Baltazar. It was the coolest thing to hear your name in a New England accent. Baltazar. I was like, oh yeah, that's me.
oh man, it's a pleasure to just talk music, talk sports, talk memories with you.
Same, buddy.
Like I said, I just, you expose me to a lot of cool music and a lot of laughs, and just that I feel like is carried over to our conversation today. So
The
we'll.
first music you twerk to, Juvenile, back that thing up.
Good lord. You don't want to see that. You don't want to
Not
see.
you, but your
Oh yeah.
girlfriends.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh
They
yeah.
they were twerking to the
Oh
song
sure.
that Jam and brought and introduced them. It was a great time on the radio, and just reflect back great times, and that lived through all this time. I can't believe it. 30 years later, we're still talking about it.
Yeah. No, it's great to hit the time machine and talk about some '80s music, talk about your early experiences, talk about obviously Nine's experience with the Patriots and all the jam and stuff, and you're still at it, man. You're still at it. You're still making people smile, and I just appreciate that. Appreciate you, and appreciate your time.
Thank you, Sean. Hey, let's do it a part two on the '80s. We just can't leave there. That and bring it into the '90s. I love it. I love talking music.
All right, we'll circle back. You have my word on that. And again, thank you.
My pleasure, buddy.
All right.
God bless.
My guest was Baltazar Ibanez. You can follow Crack Review on your favorite podcast platform or on YouTube. Find Crack Review Podcast on Instagram and Facebook. Music by Pierce and by Ceramic. I'm Sean Sylver.